Hey everyone, welcome to day 13. I can't believe I'm already almost at the halfway mark. I actually have a few ideas in mind that I kind of like want to tweak a little bit of how I do videos and how I talk, and I want to like curate a little bit more so that I'm more clear cut, but I haven't gotten around to do that. So I feel like I've been kind of like stagnant in the way I do video for at least kind of like the past week or so. But I'm comfortable, but at the same time, I just want to like just be in this plateau or something for the time being. So it's gonna be somewhat the same way for this video. So I was just thinking earlier of like what topic do I want to talk about, and surprise, surprise, I got like something or like a conversation happened earlier that I feel triggered about, and it almost feels like the universe is like, hey, you've healed yourself to a certain extent now, like um here you go to heal some more. And the most annoying part I would always feel is like it's always not uh an unfamiliar feeling. It's always like something that I have bumped into, I've encountered before, and I've been triggered before by the same incident. And yeah, I think that's the most annoying part for me because it felt like old wounds coming up, but at the same time I have not have gotten to the point of knowing to look past or knowing to kind of like understand this on a wider or deeper level. So just to share a bit of story, the friend a friend that I haven't spoke to for a very long time just kind of like text me out of the blue and asked me how I am. And that's not uncommon, right? But it's just that this friend of mine kind of like the way that she thinks, the way that she communicates is very similar to the way my family operates, or rather how my family were, or like the people around me were when I was younger. Is kind of like coming in into a conversation with kind of like a narrow mindset or a predetermined mindset of how things are, and the question that they ask or like the statement that they say, right, is pretty narrow. Like there is a like already an assumption of how things are, and they would actually make statements or like make ask questions just based on that preconceived notion, I would say. And it's always annoying because I look at the question and I look at the remark and I don't know how to reply because it always feels stuck, and I would actually always be stuck in a place of like me trying to clarify myself or trying to change their mindset, and it leaves no room for me to kind of like speak my truth. Is because I mean it is truth in a way, but it's more of like a not free flowy, but more of me being stuck in a space of trying to explain myself. And then I usually feel exhausted by the end of the conversation, and then history repeats itself again in the next conversation. So it's more exhausting that I would say than therapeutic or like catharsis. I don't know. I forgot like what is the vocab I should use for that word, but it's not therapeutic at all. So basically what happened was my friend texted me say there is no how are you, it came in with like what are you doing. And already that part kind of like triggered me in a certain way because there is this mindset of like it has to look a certain way, like you have to make a living, you have to have a job no matter what job it is. And like no, actually I was wrong, it's not even no matter what job, it's kind of like the job has to look a certain way. And to be honest, it has been triggering of some sort for me even till now when people come in. It's like, oh, what job are you doing? It's not even like, how are you? Like emotionally holding space or like really checking in. But the checking in is always like, what are you doing? And basically that was the question, what are you doing? I'm like, I can't answer that. It's not a space that I don't know how to answer that. And then because previously when I talked to her, it was like I told her that I was studying counseling psychology, and then the next statement she asked me is, "Are you a 心理医生 yet?" And there is so much kind of like because the thing is I was studying for counseling psychology. Eventually the term that I'm gonna be is a counselor. And it's funny because funny not funny because previously when I explained to my mother about this, when I or rather when I tell my mother about this, and my mother is basically not doesn't speak English, right? So I would say like 辅导员, you know. And then when she told my aunt, who's actually living in Canada, and when she visits Singapore, she asked me, "So when are you gonna become a psychiatrist?" I'm like, I mean, I get that in a way that it is. I mean, again, I understand in a way that not everybody's gonna know about everything, but it's more of like how open-minded you are when you ask a question, when you find out, when you want to know something more about something. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to become a psychiatrist. That's a doctor. And I mean, there are also so many layers to it in the sense of like, I don't think I'm qualified to be studying to be a doctor now. And also, becoming a psychiatrist is not my area of interest. There are like so many layers to it. But because of that, my mom telling her that I'm going to become a 心理医生, she's just assuming I'm going to become a doctor, which is, I mean, even the preconceived notion, not diving deeper, people, you know, put doctors or like psychiatrists on a pedestal. And I'm like, no, I'm not there, you see. Even though that's actually something that I'm not interested in. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna become a counselor. And suddenly, like, you know, she maybe in her heart put me on a pedestal and then it just dropped. And I can see all of that happening. I feel like, of course, some people is gonna tell me like, you are projecting that, you are basically explaining yourself, but in a certain way, I don't feel like that's the thing, right? When me or like anybody else who has very high level of empathy, and we can actually see what's going on in somebody else's mind, what they are feeling and stuff like that. There are so many layers to it, because being able to see into someone, what they are thinking, what their judgment are, their empathy, their conditioning and belief system and stuff like that, and then see them, all of this running through their mind, and then at the same time, what all of this is like your body, my emotions, my judgment and everything reacting to all of that, but at the same time trying to see beyond that, and then understanding everything that's going on. It's pretty exhausting sometimes. So I mean, forgive me for saying like, it's so much easier to communicate with someone who comes in with an open mind, truly from a point where they truly want to understand what is going on, want to understand you, want to understand the deeper layer of things, rather than, you know, trying to come in with an idea of wanting things to be simple, to be direct, to be structured. And then watching all of this going on, it becomes even more out of hand for me. Which is why in the first place I'm so interested in human psychology, right? But at the same time, it's still exhausting. So I'm like, no, I mean, back to the conversation, no, I'm not going to become a 心理医生. I'm not qualified for that. My aim is to be 心理辅导员. Even that itself, I feel like it's such a surface term, like it's so much more depth to that. And then she laughed, and then she asked like, where are you working? Maybe we can meet for lunch. And I'm like, for lack of better words, I'm doing my own offering right now. I hate it, to be honest. Like, the word is hate. Like, I disliked it when I have to put myself in a box, because to a mainstream person, they would actually not understand what an offering is. It falls under the category of 我在做生意. I am doing a business, but I'm not doing a business. You see, it is an offering, and it's so much more hard-led, I would say. Like, entrepreneur doesn't fit me. I have to start explaining to people what is entrepreneur, what is a hard-led offering, and what I'm trying to do good for the world, but at the same time trying to make a living for myself. And I'm doing this collaboration with a friend. And for lack of a better word, like, I cannot, because I understand when I look at someone and they don't have the vocabulary, or they don't understand like something from a certain space, right? From my point of view, at least. And I have to start explaining. And it became like a whole lot of like, no, like, you know, keep coming from an explaining standpoint. I think this is probably one of the point where I developed this trauma of like not wanting to share, because I had enough of explaining stuff to people. Which is, to be honest, it makes me really in awe when I listen to Tanya's podcast, when she come from a space of like calm and centeredness, and then explaining very calmly of like, what is entrepreneur, what do we do, all this kind of thing. Like, it felt so calming, it felt so therapeutic, and it felt like the things that I've been trying to, the space I am in, right? Like it's speaking my truth. It's speaking what I am feeling. So thank you, Tonya, if you're listening to this. Yeah, but I feel like for myself, because I'm always in this space where like people making assumptions about me, or like having very limited vocabulary, but at the same time not coming from an open mind of like allowing me to kind of like not holding a big space, I would say, like an open-minded space for me to kind of like just be. And then when I'm still struggling so bad, but for me, for now, when she's like, what are you working? And then I'm like, I'm doing a lot of things. I don't know how to say this. So I'm like, I'm also doing a collaboration with a friend. And the reply that I've gotten is not like, tell me more, what is it? Like, I don't understand. It's fine, you know. The reply I've gotten is 你很厉害. Now I'm like, no, not really, because I'm actually coming from a space of like feeling excited, also unnerving, and also kind of fearful, because I don't know where is this gonna go. I don't know if this is gonna pay off. There's so many emotions involved, and I said no, 没有很厉害, and then she replied me, 没有，你真的非常厉害. I'm like, it felt like everywhere like the conversation, like in my mind, the picture goes like, there is a brick wall. There is a brick wall, and I just keep hitting into the preconceived notion, hitting into your belief system. There is no space for me to allow me to just speak my truth accurately, I would say. And it reminded me so much of how conversations go for me with my family, with some of my friends, and even when I was younger, and even till now, I feel suffocated, to be honest. I wouldn't say stuck. I would say suffocate is probably the right word. Like, everywhere I turn, it's just, I feel my forehead knocking into something. And that's my rant. It's a 15 minutes rant. I have to really give credit to anyone who actually bother listening to this, because to be honest, if it's myself, I'll watch like, oh fuck, 15, sorry, take that back. 15 minutes, I don't have time for that, and I probably would just stop there. But this is for myself, I would say, because this is my truth. And I always feel like I cannot put myself in a box. I cannot limit myself to like this is the time limit that you can express myself. This is my preconditioned belief system. You have to fit inside a box. I can't. I can't. So to be honest, at some point I feel like I feel really grateful for the space for me to that just like speak whatever topic however long I want, and just allow me to actually find the time and the space, and like, and especially the time for me to kind of like find the right word to correctly accurately describe what I'm feeling, what I'm going through. So even no one's watching, this feels really good to me, to be honest. And yeah, I guess that's it. Also at the same time, what I rant, hopefully inspire some people. I'm still having mixed feelings of like whether people would, the person I'm ranting about would actually find out about this eventually. And I know from their perspective, it will be hard for them because they come from a space of good intention ultimately. But it's just suffocating for me. Deep breath, deep breath, deep breath. Thank you for anyone who's watching, anyone who's watching, and who actually bother listening to me. I love you guys.